The sun had set on the horizon, casting long shadows across the familiar streets of my hometown. After years of service as an army ranger, I had finally returned from my tour, expecting to find the place unchanged. But as I stepped off the plane, the eerie silence and deserted airport sent shivers down my spine. My heart raced as I made my way through the empty terminal, the clicking of my combat boots echoing in the stillness. Reaching the streets, I couldn't believe my eyes. The bustling town I remembered was now a ghost town. Storefronts were shattered, cars abandoned haphazardly, and an unsettling stench hung in the air. My training kicked in as I moved cautiously, hand resting on the hilt of my combat knife. Radio chatter had mentioned an outbreak, but this was beyond anything I could have imagined. I walked past a flickering streetlight, its feeble glow revealing signs of struggle bloodstains smeared across the pavement. A distant, guttural growl sent a chill down my spine, and I instinctively flattened against the wall. Peering around the corner, I saw them. Figures that were once human, now twisted and frenzied, tearing into whatever unfortunate souls they came across. My heart pounded in my chest as I struggled to comprehend the horror before me. These weren't mere monsters. They were my neighbors, my friends. It was a nightmare that I couldn't wake up from. The exodus of humanity from this place was palpable, a haunting void where life used to thrive. I moved through the desolate streets, memories of laughter and camaraderie echoing in my mind. The echoes turned into whispers as I heard faint cries for help. Following the sound, I came across a small group of survivors barricaded in what used to be a coffee shop. Their faces were etched with fear and desperation, eyes hollow as they recounted the chaos that had unfolded. "We can't stay here," I declared, my voice steelier than I felt. "We need a plan to get out of this town." The survivors looked to me, some with a glimmer of hope in their eyes. We pooled our resources and knowledge, crafting a daring escape strategy. We knew the risks, the odds were stacked against us, but the alternative was to stay and be consumed by the unrelenting horde outside. As we readied ourselves, the night grew darker, and the air grew colder. Each sound carried a weight, each shadow seemed to conceal a threat. My hands gripped my weapon, knuckles white with tension. This was no longer the world I had fought for overseas. This was a battleground on my own doorstep. With a final nod to the survivors, we pushed open the coffee shop's door, stepping out into the nightmarish landscape. Our path was uncertain, and our future was shrouded in darkness. But as an ex-army ranger, I had faced the abyss before, and this time I was determined to make a stand, not just for myself, but for the remnants of humanity that still held on to hope. The night enveloped us as we moved through the streets, our senses heightened, every rustle of leaves or distant moan sending a jolt of adrenaline through our veins. We avoided main roads and stuck to the shadows, each step a calculated risk. The group I had found myself leading was a diverse mix of ages and backgrounds, bound together by a common will to survive. Their eyes reflected both fear and determination, a silent acknowledgement that we were in this together. We reached the outskirts of town, the tall grass of the field swaying in the breeze. In the distance we could make out the faint glow of what seemed to be a military outpost. It was a glimmer of hope, a chance to find answers, to make contact with others who might still be fighting against the tide of this gruesome outbreak. As we moved closer to the outpost, the tension in the air grew thicker. The sense of unease was palpable, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The survivors and I huddled together, debating the best approach. We couldn't afford any missteps, not now. Before we could make a decision, a low growl echoed from behind us, freezing us in our tracks. Slowly we turned, our hearts sinking as we saw a group of those rabid creatures emerging from the darkness. There was no time to think. We ran, our breaths labored, our steps frantic. As we sprinted towards the outpost, the ground seemed to quake beneath us. The night erupted into chaos as the very earth seemed to tremble with a monstrous force. It was then that we saw it, a colossal figure, hulking and deformed, emerging from the shadows. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural, malevolent light, and its presence radiated a primal terror. I yelled for the group to scatter, seeking cover wherever we could find it. Gunfire erupted, the sound deafening in the night. The survivors fought valiantly, their determination unyielding even in the face of this monstrous adversary. But it was clear that we were outmatched. This was no ordinary enemy. Amid the chaos, I spotted a narrow opening leading into the outpost. It was a slim chance, but it was all we had. I yelled for the survivors to follow me, and we dashed towards the entrance, narrowly avoiding the clutches of the hulking figure. We stumbled inside, gasping for breath, hearts pounding. Inside the outpost, we found ourselves in a dimly lit chamber. The air was thick with tension as we caught our breath, our eyes scanning our surroundings for any signs of danger. It was then that a voice broke the silence, a voice that sent shivers down my spine. "Welcome, survivors," the voice intoned. "I've been waiting for you." The voice reverberated through the chamber, its eerie calmness contrasting with the chaos outside. We huddled together, our weapons still trained on the entrance, trying to locate the source of the voice. A figure emerged from the shadows, clad in tattered robes that seemed to blend with the darkness. Their face was obscured, hidden beneath a hood, but their presence exuded an otherworldly power. They spoke again, their words sending chills down our spines. "You've come seeking refuge, seeking answers," the figure said, their voice carrying an unsettling resonance. "But do you understand the gravity of the situation?" Before we could respond, they raised their hand, and a holographic projection appeared before us. Images of the outbreak, of cities in ruins, and of the monstrous figures we had encountered flickered in the air. It was a grim visual history of the catastrophe that had befallen the world. "Humanity's recklessness has triggered this cataclysm," the figure continued. "The infection, the monsters, all a consequence of tampering with forces beyond comprehension." "Why are you showing us this?" one of the survivors demanded, their voice quivering with a mix of anger and fear. The figure's gaze seemed to penetrate each of us. "Because you have a choice. You can cower in fear, or you can rise and face the truth. You possess a unique resilience, a strength that can tip the balance." Their words hung in the air, pregnant with implication. Before any of us could respond, the ground trembled once more. The chamber's walls seemed to shudder, and a deafening roar echoed from outside. The hulking figure had followed us, its presence radiating malice. With a wave of the figure's hand, the chamber's entrance sealed shut, and the air grew thick with tension. "You can defeat this monstrous creation," they said, "but to do so you must embrace the dormant power within you." As the hulking figure pounded against the sealed entrance, a surge of energy coursed through my veins. Memories of my training, of battles fought and won, flashed before my eyes. The power to confront this horror was within reach, waiting for me to seize it. With newfound determination, I turned to the survivors, seeing in their eyes the same resolve mirrored in my own. We nodded in unison, ready to face whatever trials lay ahead. The figure's voice resonated once more. "Go now and fulfill your destiny. Confront the abomination and restore balance to a world on the brink." The chamber's walls dissipated, and as we stepped outside, the hulking figure loomed before us, its eyes gleaming with hunger. We charged, our weapons drawn, hearts ablaze with newfound purpose. The battle that unfolded would test our limits, our strengths, and the depths of our courage, as we fought not only for our lives but for the very soul of a world plunged into darkness. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel for more stories. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me create more great content for you. Until next time.